I always dreamed of a peaceful vacation with my son and his family. I imagined laughter, warm hugs, slow mornings and evenings full of stories and shared memories. At 72 years old, moments like that mattered more than anything. And when my son Jay invited me to join his family in Miami, I truly believed this trip would bring us closer. I was hopeful, like a child seeing fireworks for the first time. I believed we would finally be a real family again. The drive to the coastal paradise resort felt long and quiet in a strange way. Jay and his wife Valentina talked to each other the entire time about spas, fancy dinners, and which outfits would be perfect for each restaurant. I sat in the back seat listening and smiling, trying to feel included. I spoke gently about the kids, asked about their school, asked about their hobbies, asked what they had been up to. Valentina barely glanced at me before giving short answers, and Jay just nodded like my voice was a passing breeze. Still, I stayed positive, telling myself maybe they were just tired. Maybe the vacation would soften them. Maybe things would change. What they did not know was that the resort they were bragging about visiting belonged to me. I had purchased the property years ago and rebuilt it with love and sweat and pride. I came from nothing after my husband passed when Jay was 12. I built a business from one small bed and breakfast to 17 boutique hotels across 3 states. I never told Jay because I wanted his love honest and pure. I never wanted him to see me as a bank. I only wanted to be his mother. When we arrived, the entrance shined like a jewel with tall palms dancing in the ocean breeze, marble floors polished like glass, and bell staff moving smoothly like a well-rehearsed orchestra. I felt pride deep in my bones. But I kept silent. I stood behind my family like a shadow, not a queen who built this empire. While Valentina strutted forward in designer sunglasses and heels that could pierce stone, she demanded the penthouse like she owned the world. Jay nodded quickly like a well-trained assistant. They never asked what I wanted. They never wondered how I felt. They never thanked me for being there. At the front desk, Jasmine saw me and almost greeted me as the owner, but I gave her a small subtle nod, telling her to stay quiet. I planned to reveal myself later when the moment felt right. I thought maybe this trip could still become a new beginning. I thought my heart could still be healed. I was wrong. When Jasmine told Jay the penthouse was booked, Valentina exploded. Her voice rose sharp and strong like shattered glass thrown across stone floors. She told Jasmine she did not care who had the room. She ordered her to take it back. I stepped forward to calm her because I did not want a scene. But Valentina snapped and turned on me like a storm breaking open. "Do not speak," she yelled. "Do not talk to the old woman. She is just the help. She is just the nanny we brought. Do not waste your time on her." Her voice echoed through the lobby. People turned and watched. Every face saw me like I was nothing, like I was dirt beneath her shoes. And Jay, my son, my only child, he laughed. He laughed like it was a joke, like I deserved it, like I was invisible. I felt my heart crack. I felt heat rise in my face. In 72 years, no one had disrespected me like that. I worked hard for dignity and earned respect everywhere but in my own family. I swallowed every tear because a queen does not cry in front of enemies. I walked away without a word. Jasmine looked at me with kindness, but I shook my head. This was my battle. This humiliation was my lesson, and soon it would be theirs. The first night hurt like being cut open slowly. Jay and Valentina treated me like a babysitter, like a burden, like background noise. They planned spa days and lunches and golfing while I sat quietly watching my grandkids who barely spoke because their parents poisoned their minds against me. They believed I was poor. They believed I lived in a tiny apartment. They believed I made up stories to feel important. I felt invisible in the life I built. I felt like I no longer existed to them. But on the third day, fate revealed truth. I dropped the kids at the resort kids club. I walked near the private cabanas and heard voices. I heard my name. I heard my future discussed like a piece of furniture to discard. Valentina said old people do not live forever. She planned for my death like planning a fancy brunch. Jay laughed cruelly and said I was broke and delusional. They both planned to put me in a government home and never look back. They wanted my time and effort but not my love. They waited to take everything they imagined I had while believing I had nothing. The betrayal felt like knives twisting inside my chest. I stepped away quietly and walked through the resort I built from dust and dreams. I remembered every brick I had chosen, every light I had approved, every plant I had planted. I remembered nights I scrubbed floors and mornings I handled check-ins with a tired smile. I remembered raising a child alone, working through grief and hunger and loneliness just to give him everything. And this was my reward. Mockery, humiliation, hatred, disrespect. That night I sat alone on the balcony of my suite, and the ocean whispered like truth in the dark. Strength rose inside me like fire. I decided they would learn who I was. They would learn what real power looked like. They would learn that a woman who rises from nothing cannot be stepped on like dust. The next morning everything changed. I dressed in an elegant navy suit, one that spoke leadership and legacy. My hair was pulled back sharp and proud. I walked into the lobby with purpose. Like the owner, I was like the queen of my own story. Staff straightened immediately, guests moved aside. I walked to Jasmine and spoke clearly. Please gather the executive team in the main lobby. I will make an announcement. Within minutes managers and staff lined up. Jay and Valentina walked in confused. Valentina rolled her eyes thinking I was making trouble. Jay whispered at me asking what I was doing, like I embarrassed him. But soon they realized the lobby was not there for them. It was there for me. Jasmine stepped forward and introduced me as the founder and sole owner of the Coastal Paradise Resort collection of 17 luxury properties. Guests gasped. Staff bowed their heads respectfully. Valentina blinked like reality slapped her across the face. Jay stared like he saw a ghost wearing my skin. I spoke calm and steady. Every word a stone of truth. I built this empire from the ground with my own 2 hands. I cleaned rooms, I served guests, I stood through storms and loss, and I rose. I was the help. And I built a dynasty. I raised a son I loved more than life, and I asked for nothing but respect. Instead I received humiliation and cruelty. So I make a decision today. I turned to Jasmine. Please remove these guests from my property. They are no longer welcome in any of my hotels. Gasps filled the lobby. Jay stuttered and tried to speak, but I lifted my hand. Not in anger. In finality. I owe you nothing, I said. Kindness was a gift you did not value. Respect was love you did not return. You wanted to leave me behind. So I will do it for you. Security arrived and escorted them out. Valentina shouted, but no sound mattered. Jay begged, but I did not break. The lobby clapped softly and some guests whispered, "You are incredible, and you are inspiring." I stood tall, breathing freedom like sunrise after a storm. I walked outside and watched them drive away. I felt peace. Not revenge. Not pride. Just freedom. Because I finally chose myself. I finally remembered my worth. And I finally let go of those who never valued me. I turned and stepped back into my hotel. My empire. My legacy. And I whispered inside my heart, I am enough. I always was. And I always will be.